Today I'm going to show you how to sew a kitty Christmas stocking. You can make the included bow to put on the ear for a girl or a bow tie for a boy. You don't have to put the bows on there at all, but I'll show you how to make them still in case you want to. The first thing you're going to do is print all of your pattern pieces. Go ahead and cut them out, and then you're going to trace those pattern pieces onto your fabric and cut them out. That's the hanging loop that hangs the stocking. And you're going to need 4 of the kitty Christmas stocking bodies on your fabric, and you're going to cut it on the fold. So here I have 4 pieces of fabric stacked on top of each other, 1/3 yard for the outer of the stocking and 1/3 for the inner. I have both of those stacked on top of each other, and then I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm going to place the pattern piece right along the fold of this fabric and then trace all the way around it. Once you have the pattern piece traced onto the top piece of fabric, go ahead and cut it out. And I like to cut it all at once using a good pair of scissors. Here's what it looks like once you're done cutting. You can go ahead and open it up and you'll have 4 cat silhouette stocking pieces. 2 for the outer and 2 for the inner of the stocking. So put that to the side for a second and let's go ahead and make the hanging loop. This is what you hang the stocking with. You're going to cut 1 and go ahead and fold it in half with the right sides of the fabric together. And then you're going to sew a line right down the side to close those raw edges. Once you have that sewn, here's what it looks like. We're going to use a 1/4 to 3/8 inch seam allowance on the entire stocking. Now we're going to flip this right side out by putting the safety pin right in the fold of the top of your stocking loop. Go ahead and push that safety pin all the way into the loop and then cinch it together with your fingers. Once you have it cinched a couple of times, pull the fabric over the safety pin and keep pulling that safety pin until you get to the other end. Go ahead and take your safety pin out, and then you're going to use whatever you need to, a pin. I like to use a chopstick, and go ahead and open up that tube. And you want the seam facing you once you get it all straight and flat. And then you're going to fold it in half with a seam on the inside. And that's your hanging loop. This is a minky fabric that I used. So now you're going to go with one of your cat silhouette pieces, right side up, and go to the right or the left ear, however you want it to hang, and put it about 1 centimeter down from the top and clip or pin it in place. Then you're going to lay your other cat silhouette piece, this is the outer stocking, pin or clip it in place all the way around except for on the very top. You're not going to sew the top of your stocking here. Now that I have this clipped in place, I'm going to bring it to my sewing machine and sew all the way around this cat silhouette piece for my outer stocking, but I'm not going to sew across the top. Go ahead and use a 3/8 inch seam allowance, and again, don't sew what I'm showing you here. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clip all the way around my stocking. I'm going to clip off my hanging loop excess fabric, and then I'm going to make little clips and notches all the way around all of my curves. Anytime you sew a curve, you want to do this so that way when you flip your fabric right side out, your fabric doesn't pucker and it curves with your seams. Now I've clipped all the way around, just little clips. Make sure you don't clip through your stitches. And I'm going to flip this fabric right side out. Again, this is the stocking outer piece, the outside of my stocking. I'm going to smoothen the seam with my fingers and a chopstick. Go ahead and smoothen out those edges. Now we're going to work on the lining of our stocking. I've got both of my fabric pieces for the lining, and I'm putting them right sides together. Now I'm going to go to the bottom of my stocking and make 2 small marks about 3 inches apart across the flat part of the bottom of the stocking, because I'm not going to sew in that area. You're going to leave that there so that you can flip your stocking right side out later. Go ahead and pin or clip around the rest of your stocking, and then you're going to sew it just like you did before, not sewing at the top, and you're going to leave this opening at the bottom, not sewing across there. Here's what it looks like once I'm finished. Got the opening at the top, the opening at the bottom, and just like my outer stocking, I'm going to clip off the corners of my cat ears and then clip my notches all the way around all of my curves. Now we're going to work on tucking the outside of my stocking into the inside of my stocking. So the inside lining piece, you're not going to flip that right side out yet. You're going to get your outside stocking, fold it in half, and place it right inside the top of your lining stocking that you have not flipped right side out. So go ahead and put it all the way through there. And then starting at your cat ears, you're going to line up the seams of your outer and your inner stocking. The right sides of these fabric pieces are kissing, they're touching right now, and that's how you want it to be. There's your lining side seam and there's your outer side seam. Match those 2 pieces together and pin or clip them in place. Then you're going to do the same exact thing to the other side of your cat ear. And after you've done that, go ahead and place some pins or clip lining up the rest of the top of your stocking. Now that we have this clipped in place, we're going to sew all the way around the top of your stocking. You can either slide this stocking onto your sewing machine, or you can do it from the inside like I'm going to show you here. I had a request to show how to do it this way, so that's what I'm doing. But normally I prefer to take the piece off of that bottom of my sewing machine and put it on like a tube and sew it that way. Make sure you're using a 3/8 inch seam allowance, and anytime you need to go around a corner, go ahead and lift your presser foot, rotate your fabric, put your presser foot back down, and continue sewing. Here's what it looks like when you're done sewing. We're going to clip the corners of our cat ears, and then we're going to go into each corner and clip a little notch. It's not a curve, so we just need little notches at that corner, so that way when we flip it right side out, it doesn't pucker. Go ahead and clip off any excess bulk where your ears are as well. And make sure you do the back side too. Now we're going to go to the hole at the bottom of your lining, and we're going to pull the outer stocking right side out until everything is right side out. With your fingers or a chopstick, go ahead and smoothen out all of your seams, and you especially want to make sure that you go in and poke out your ears. That's very important, so that way when you tuck this fabric lining in, it'll line up correctly. Now to close the bottom of your stocking lining, go ahead and put your fingers inside of it, and the flaps should go ahead and push inwards. Lay it flat, and then you're just going to sew a small line across the bottom. You can use an invisible ladder stitch if you wish to, but nobody sees the inside, so I go ahead and just sew it with my machine. Now we're going to tuck this fabric lining inside of your stocking by pinching both sides and separating the fabric, and then just pushing and working that lining inside of the stocking. Use your fingers and your hand, use a closed pin, a chopstick, whatever you have to smoothen out all the seams so they line up nice and well. Then you're going to bring it to your iron and go ahead and crease it so that everything stays in place. You can top stitch the top of your cat stocking if you wish to so that everything stays in place nicely. To make the bow or the bow tie for your stocking, go ahead and get your fabric. Get a piece of ribbon that's 3/8 of an inch or smaller. Fold your fabric in half long ways and sew the two sides closed. Now that you have it sewn, go ahead and turn this tube right side out. And you want the seam facing you, right in the middle. Fold it in half and make a crease right at the middle part, and then put your finger on the inside middle piece. Bring one side of your fabric tube right across over top of your finger, and then overlap it with the other side as well. And then you're going to sew a straight line right down the middle. This is going to be the back side of your bow, so don't worry about that fabric showing. Okay, so here's the sewn line right down the middle. Pinch it together right in the middle, and then bring the two side flaps out. Again, pinch it together, and then put the two side pieces out and pinch it. Put your ribbon right across the middle at the top. Pinch it across the sides until you can flip it over, and then you're going to make a double knot with your ribbon. Once you've done your double knot, go ahead and clip off your excess ribbon, and you can attach it to your stocking. I like to use hot glue because it stays the best in my opinion. You're just going to put a little dab over the back of your bow, right where the knot of your ribbon is, and place it wherever you want to on your stocking.